Welcome to the Muscatine Art Center's watercolor class. I am Vada Baker and I'll be showing you how to paint pretty poppies with various watercolor techniques. This picture kind of shows you a smaller version of what we'll be painting. Our painting today will be an 8x10. This one is a 5x7, but it will give you the idea of what we're going to do. So I will give you the supplies that are needed for this class. We will need 8x10 piece of watercolor paper, like this. I usually use a 40-pound cold press. You can buy this at Walmart or any other craft shop. And what we would do, we'll prepare this sheet of watercolor paper and attach it to a piece of cardboard. This cardboard should be a little bit larger than the watercolor paper that you're using. Flip it over to the smooth side. The bumpy side is what you'll be painting on. And just take your blue painter's tape and pull off about a 3-inch piece of tape. Roll it into a little ball. Stick it on each 4 corners of your watercolor paper. Flip it back over and put it down on your cardboard. The reason we're using the cardboard is that once you start painting and you want to move your paper around for a better angle, you won't have to touch your paper and perhaps smear it. Once you get your watercolor paper attached to the cardboard, move it aside and take your graphic. Your graphic will be of the 3 poppies that we'll be painting today. Go ahead and cut that out to fit your 8x10 piece of paper. Just kind of round it around that center flower, excuse me, and then straight down. Cut it till it's even with the stem, like this. And then take your pencil. We're going to do a tracing to put on your watercolor paper. Take your pencil, lay it down, and then rub your graphite all over the back, nice and dark. So it looks like that. You can hold it up to the light to make sure that you have all of the graphic done. Then take a little piece of tape and then attach your graphic to the lower right-hand side of your paper to where it looks like this. And we will be tearing this watercolor paper to give it just a different type of technique and dimension, so it'll look like that after we're done painting with a colored background. So what you do next, after you have your graphite on the back of your graphic, lay it down neatly, tape it so it doesn't move, and begin tracing all the lines in this graphic. Trace all around all the flowers and the stems. I've already done this, but I'm just going to show you a little bit how to do this. And press pretty firmly so that you'll be able to see all the petals and the stems in order to paint them. So once that is done, lift it up without removing the tape, just to make sure that you have all your graphic down there, that you can see it. Sometimes you might have to use a little bit more graphite on your graphic to make it darker. We don't want to use any other type of like carbon paper because the carbon will smear with the water. Once you are happy with your design and perhaps it's a little light, you can go back in and kind of look at your graphic and then trace over it to make sure you have all the lines there that you can see to paint. And then just make a little mark here on your paper down toward that center flower and then below it. And that will show you, you don't want to paint here because we're going to tear that away. So just paint from here back to there. The techniques that we're going to use today are wet on wet and wet on dry. What that means is when you paint wet on wet, you will take and wet with clear water the area that you're going to paint. The watercolor paper will follow the water and will kind of stop where the water is not. This kind of helps you to determine where you want to paint so that it doesn't run onto, say, the petals. So what I'm going to do is dip my larger brush, and I'm using a watercolor brush size 9. And I'm going to paint with water only, just a small section first on the background. When we do the backgrounds, we'll start from the top and work down on the backgrounds only. So this is nice and wet. The colors that we're using today are red, yellow, blue, green, and a little purple. Feel free to mix those colors to your liking, but I'm just going to use these as a means of showing you what we got going here. I'm going to dip my brush into some purple. The more water you add to your watercolors, the darker it will be. And just start by daubing the color. And you can see that where it's going to run and stop right above the petals, because I didn't put any water on the petals. And that's what we want to do. And this looks pretty light, but what you do is just kind of wait for it to dry a tad bit, and then you can go back in with another color and add another color to kind of darken it up a little bit while it's still wet. And then you, if you put it on while the first layer is dry, then you're going to have kind of a straight line. We don't really want that. We want it to kind of flow and blend into each other. Okay, then go ahead and use your water here to clean your brush. And then stick it in the clear water. Go over here and do this other area. And of course, where you touch the purple, or that color you have there, it's going to kind of blend. All right, I might want to use a little bit of blue over here. So I'm just going to kind of daub it on and let it do its thing. And whatever color you want, because it is your painting, you're the artist. But you can kind of see how the water has a mind of its own, and it will definitely start moving with the water. If you want just a plain background, that's up to you too. But I'm just kind of giving you this method to show you how to add different colors. And the more water you add to it, the more it will blend. All right, I'm going to clean the brush again. Go in with the clear water and then go underneath my petals. I love to watch how the colors will just grab that water and move. It kind of paints itself and staying away from the petals.